9 just took place last night, and it was a really good card. I thought it lived up to a lot of the hype, the expectations that it had, being such a stack card. Um, yeah, I mean, I thought there was some great fights. Most of the fights lived up to the expectations. There weren't really any snoozer fights. There was like maybe one or two, but like the up and down the card, there were just amazing fights, nonstop, especially the main card. But I'm gonna get right into it. The first fight that I'm gonna be reacting to is Josh Parisian versus Robellis Despaigne. Now, this fight was not a hard fight to predict. Robellis Despaigne coming off, I think it was three knockouts in the first 10 seconds or something crazy like that. Ended up knocking Josh Parisian out in the first 20 seconds. So he lived up to that was like the embodiment of living up to the hype when it comes to this card. He ended up knocking Josh Parisian out in seconds. So I think he's going to be a star. He has the knockout power, has the striking, it's really just as long as he gets favorable matchups, I think he has potential to be a superstar in the heavyweight division, especially in Miami. Being from Cuba, I think anytime they go to have a card, now they've had two in the past year at Miami pay-per-views. I think now whenever they have a pay-per-view in Miami, this guy's going to be on the card. But yeah, I mean, tough loss for Josh Parisian. Went in there, tried his best, came up short for Robellis Despaigne. Great win, got a nice knockout in the first 30 seconds of the fight. So not really much to say because he ended up knocking him out so early. So you can't really. There's not much to break down. But yeah, I mean, it was an entertaining fight, and Robellis Despaigne got the first round knockout, 5-0. The next fight I'm going to be talking about is Michel Pereira versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Now, I picked Michel Pereira by first round TKO. Michel Pereira got a first round sub after hurting Michal Oleksiejczuk to the body bad twice, and then lashing onto a rear naked choke. I'm getting the sub in a minute, man. Michel Pereira's last two fights have both lasted 1 minute in the first round finishes over Michal Oleksiejczuk and Andre Petroski. I think Michel's looking like a contender. I think he's really found the form of his life. He's 30 years old. He's in his prime. He's on a 6-7 fight win streak, 2 back-to-back first round finishes. I think you should give him a ranked guy in the middleweight division. I think he's earned it, and I think that will be his next fight. Maybe a co-main event on a fight night, Apex Fight Night, or something like that. Yeah, tough loss for Michal Oleksiejczuk. Didn't really get a chance to get going, but I think he'll be back to the drawing board, and I think we'll see him back soon. He just had that great win over Chitty. He's still a great fighter, so nothing to be ashamed about losing to Michel Pereira, but it was an amazing performance for Michel Pereira, and even though I predicted him to win by TKO, he ended up winning by sub. Still in the first round, though. The next fight was Philipe Lins versus Ion Cutelaba. Now, I really thought this fight was entertaining. They both guys were going for it. Cutelaba gassed out a bit towards the end, but the first round was very entertaining. They were swinging for the fences, trading in the pocket. I thought someone was going to get chinned, but both guys kept those chins tucked for the most part. Didn't get clipped too hard. But Philipe Lins clearly won the decision. It really wasn't like a robbery or not even a robbery. It just wasn't a hard fight. Like it wasn't when it ended. It was like Lins won that one. It wasn't like there was no just like confusion over the decision. But I mean, it was pretty entertaining. I thought it was a really good fight. For the most part, the third round was a little sloppy, but other than that, I thought it was a good fight. To cap off the early prelims. The next fight I'm gonna be going over is. Oh, by the way, I got my pick wrong for that one. I picked Cutelaba, and it ended up being Lins by decision. So, what can you do? The next fight I'm going to be talking about is a fight that I correctly predicted. Kyler Phillips beat Pedro Munhoz by decision, and man, did Kyler Phillips' striking look amazing in this fight. He was in and out, in and out. Like I literally said, if you watch my my breakdowns video, I literally said how I don't think he's going to be touching him up on the feet. Kyler Phillips, I don't think he's going to be touching Pedro Munhoz up. And I was wrong. He pieced Pedro Munhoz up. All 3 rounds, piecing him up, beating the shit out of him, won a clear decision. I picked him to win by decision, but I said that he would win by mostly grappling. And he went out there and just beat up Pedro Munhoz, proved that he is elite. I said in my video, not elite, sorry. He is a top level fighter. I said in my video, only elite guys have beat Pedro Munhoz, so it's either Pedro's getting old or Kyler Phillips is, up there, should be up there with the top guys at that weight class. Next fight on the card was Mateusz Gamrot versus RDA. Now, the first round was actually very close. Very good for RDA. I think he got like a somewhat of a knockdown over Mateusz Gamrot, but Mateusz Gamrot won the decision. Pretty clear in my opinion. I picked him to win by decision, and it played out as like pretty similarly to how I expected it to, but RDA had a lot of success in the first round with the hands that I did not expect. Maycee Barber versus Katlyn Chookagian. Again, I predicted Maycee Barber to win by decision. She won by decision. Not the best fight, but not the worst. Just kind of was a little lackluster considering how many great fights there were on the card. The next fight was Curtis Blaydes versus Jailton Almeida. Now, I picked Jailton Almeida by sub in the second. He ended up getting knocked out by hammer fists in the second, shooting a takedown. I watched it back a few times. I can't really see if Blaydes, not while he's shooting, but while he is moving Blaydes against the cage, I think Blaydes landed a short uppercut, like a shovel hook uppercut. I can't really tell if it hurt Almeida or not, or if it was just the hammer fists, like how Johnny Walker finished, who was it, Ryan Spann, I think, with elbows and hammer fists from that same position. So I think it was just the hammer fists right in the temple, stunned Almeida, and then Blaydes just finished him. Look, great performance for Blaydes. Shut down the hype train of Jailton Almeida. He was on a huge win streak. He was a really hyped up prospect in the heavyweight division, and he ended up getting smoked by Blaydes in the second round. So back to the drawing board for Jailton Almeida. I'm sure he'll be back relatively soon. Took a bit of damage, but not that much. And I think Blaydes, I know he's coming off of a loss. Well, now he's coming off of a win, but he was coming off of a loss going into this fight. So I don't think he's gonna get like a title shot or anything. But I think you can give him a big matchup, maybe with Cyril Gane. If you're not gonna give him Tom Aspinall, either Cyril Gane. Maybe give him, he already fought Sergey Pavlovich. But yeah, maybe give him Cyril Gane. If you're not going to give Gane to Aspinall, which I don't think you should. I don't think that Gane should fight Aspinall. I don't think he's earned a title shot. So I think you should give him Blaydes in a title, maybe not even, I don't know, maybe a title eliminator fight. Curtis Blaydes versus Cyril Gane. I think that would be a good fight. Next fight on the card was Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. I predicted Yan to win by decision. He ended up winning by decision. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. It was entertaining. Song Yadong had some success in the first round, as a lot of Yan opponents normally do. He normally takes that first round off. Then, as expected, in the second and the third, Yan turned it up, mixed up the takedowns. I believe it was towards the end of the third round. He got Song Yadong down and just held him there for the rest of the round, landed some elbows, and clearly won the fight, in my opinion. Clear decision for Petr Yan. Song Yadong, tough loss, but, kind of a pattern in Song Yadong's career now, where he goes on a bit of a win streak, and then he'll fight an elite guy, and he'll just lose. Not trying to talk shit on him, I'm just saying, I think he's still a bit young, he's not even an experienced guy, he's like 30 fucking fights, but, I don't know, I just feel like he every time he fights some big step up, he just ends up coming short, and but there are close fights, so you can tell that he will be probably, I don't know if I'm going to say he's going to be champ one day, but I think he has a very good chance at one day becoming champ, because, he's only 26, so in, 5 years' time, when, I'd say, in, 5 years' time, when guys like Yan are retired, probably, because they're going to be, late 30s, I think there's going to be a new wave, and I think that Song Yadong will have a good chance to become UFC champ in a few years' time. But, yeah, I thought the fight was pretty good. I picked it right. I picked, Petr Yan, and he won, so I was happy. I'm happy about that. The next fight on the card was where things really got interesting. Jack Della Maddalena versus Gilbert Burns. Jack Della Maddalena, third round knockout, vicious knee as Burns was coming in, and a bit of a late stoppage. The ref really gave Burns a chance to recover, but I just don't think Burns was in it at that point. That knee really, really rocked him, caught him right on the chin. And yeah, amazing win for JDM. Scrambling ability is there. Like I said in my video, I said even if Burns gets him down, JDM scrambles like a fucking madman. So good luck holding that guy down. And just on the feet, he's amazing on the feet. The jab, he was sticking it in Gilbert's face early and often, like I said he would. Mixing up to the body. Really just a great performance for JDM. Couldn't have really asked for much more, you know what I mean? Just an amazing performance. And he knocked out Gilbert Burns. Tough for Gilbert Burns to now be on a 2-fight losing streak. He's 2-3 in his last 5, losing to Hamza Chimaev, Belal Muhammad, and now Jack Della Maddalena. But amazing win for JDM. Called out Shavkat. I'd say give him Shavkat if he really wants Shavkat. Don't think he'll beat him, but I think it will be a great fight. And what's next for Gilbert Burns? I don't know. He might want to think about hanging him up. 37, has had a great career. 2-fight skid, or he could just take a step down in competition and fight like I'm not even sure off the top of my head, to be honest, but fight somebody who's not surging prospect. You know what I mean? Like, don't like give him a bit of a step down, and then see where we could go from there. Next fight up the card was Michael Page versus Kevin Holland. I thought this fight was a bit lackluster, bit snoozy. I think I said that in my video that I think that I said that Kevin Holland would try and make it boring to try and win like he did against JDM. And no disrespect to Kevin Holland, you know, you can't have every fight be a barn burner because you're risking losing every time you do that. So, good win for Michael Venom Page. You know, I don't think that this win like said too much about his ceiling because no disrespect to Kevin Holland, but I don't think a win over Kevin Holland is like, oh, future champ. Like, this guy's going to be the next big thing. Like, I think the elephant in the room is, like, how's this guy going to do against a Sean Brady? Like, is Sean Brady just going to have his way with him? Or the UFC going to give him... I think the UFC will give him favorable matchups because he has the potential to be such a big star. But, I mean, good performance for Michael Venom Page. You know, looked good in there. Kevin Holland couldn't really touch him. His style, karate style, held up well. And, I mean, overall, I mean, it's a good performance. 36 years old coming into the UFC and having a debut like that. Even though it wasn't the most entertaining fight, he won. Didn't take damage. He can fight again this year. I mean, maybe even twice if he fights again and doesn't take any damage that time. So I'd like to see him back in there soon. He didn't take much damage, and he's 36 years old, so he can't afford to just take any long layoffs. So I'd like to see him back in there maybe in the summer, and maybe if they do a card in the UK over the summer, maybe a Manchester card or a Liverpool. I don't really know if they do a Liverpool card, but maybe another Manchester card, and then, you know, Paddy Pimblett, Molly Meatball, I'd maybe Leon or Tom Aspinall for if it's a pay-per-view, or it could just be a fight night. But yeah, I mean, they could do a fight night with Michael Venom Page headlining, because I think that now that he's got his UFC debut and he's won, he can take on a ranked guy in the top 10, and yeah, you could really make something out of that. A main event in a fight night, main event in the UK. Set him up for a possible title fight with Leon. I really think that he matches up well with Leon, but that's a long way down the road. The next fight on the card was the fight that I think many people were looking forward to the most, and it delivered. Benoit Saint Denis versus Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier ended up winning by second round knockout, and I don't know if I mentioned I got my picks wrong for the Kevin Holland fight, but I got my pick right for the JDM fight, and I got my pick right for this one. I'm excited about that. I won some money betting on Dustin Poirier, but yeah, I mean, Dustin Poirier did what I expected him to do. I expected Benoit Saint Denis to come out blasting in that first round, win the first round. He did win the first round, and then Dustin Poirier was like, "Hey, bud, it's a 5-round fight. Like, you won the first round, but there's 4 more." So and then Benoit Saint Denis started to slow down a little bit. Dustin Poirier started to land with that body hook, that lead hook to the chin. Benoit Saint Denis was open, like I said he was going to be. People just, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like people were really hyping him up when he was so open for counter shots and just like chin up in the air, like smelling what the Rock is cooking, Paddy Pimblett style. I wonder if he trains with Paddy Pimblett. They have similar striking defense where they're like hands up, hands down, chin up. They probably do train together. That's probably where I learned it from. But Dustin Poirier knocked him out. Almost, I don't know if he was out cold. He was kind of out cold for like a second. Brutal knockout, second round, somewhat early. You know, 2.5 minutes into the second out of a 5-round fight. So, Benoit Saint Denis, back to the drawing board. I think he will have to fight a guy like, you know, he's just, what's it called? He was climbing the rankings normally and got this huge jump up, and now it's like he crashed and burned, and he's not top 5 level. So I think you could give him someone just inside the rank, just like similar to where he was before, similar to like a Frivola. Maybe give him Dober. That would be a great matchup. I think give him Drew Dober, fight night main event, Apex maybe main event. You know, Drew Dober, big old chin. Good luck knocking that guy out. I mean, I know Frivola knocked him out, but still, I think that would be a great matchup for Benoit Saint Denis. See where he's at, because he could beat Dober. He could also lose to Dober. I think he would beat him, but I think that would be a good matchup. Let him see, let's see where he really is, because this was not a good test to see where he is, considering that he got smoked by Poirier. But just because you get smoked by Poirier doesn't mean that you're not shit. Poirier is a fucking dog. So I mean, I predicted this fight correctly, But I think that Benoit Saint Denis, obviously still young, obviously has his whole career ahead of him. I think he'll bounce back from this loss, and I think in a few years' time we'll be looking back at it like, oh yeah, he lost to Poirier, but he also beat blah 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 blah. Whoever he's gonna go, I know he's gonna go on to win a bunch of fights. So he's gonna have a great career, I'm sure. Dustin Poirier, not retiring anytime soon. Hopefully, I hope he can get another couple fights in it. Big money fights, probably against big names, and I'd like to see it. I just like to see Dustin Poirier in a couple more fights before he retires, because he is 35. He has had a lot of fights, 30 UFC fights, something crazy. So, it is unfortunately a reality where he's getting older. He's almost had 40 pro fights. So, but I'd like to see him in there a few more times. Main event: Sean O'Malley beat the dog shit out of Chito Vera. I picked Sean O'Malley to win. I'm saying that Chito Vera, snoozy Chito, stands there. I don't understand why. Like, obviously, outside of the cage, he's an amazing guy. The story with his daughter, he seems like a very nice guy. But, like, when it comes to watching him fight, I don't understand how he has so many fans. Chito Vera is such a boring fighter. He just stands there, waits. He's like Yoel Romero, just waits. And then, like, yeah, maybe he'll not in the knockout. But it's like, look at who he's knocked out. Dominic Cruz, old, washed, chinny Dominic Cruz. Frankie Edgar, old, washed, chinny Frankie Edgar. And those were both fights he was losing. So I just really don't understand how Chito got all this hype behind him. Like, he has these knockouts, but if you watch those fights, he was losing those fights. And got the knockout, he did, but against chinny old men. Like, who's he knocked up that's not chinny? Like, nobody, really. And lost to Song Yadong, lost to Jose Aldo, lost to Corey Sandhagen, got smoked by Sean O'Malley. So I think it's really back to the drawing board for Chito Heavy big time, because he looked like shit out there, and he got the absolute piss beat out of him by Sean O'Malley for 5 rounds. Didn't have one moment in that whole fight where he looked like he was going to win at all, and looked like he was just a punching bag with legs. For Sean O'Malley to show off his striking is really what it was. That's the reality of the situation. Like, he really just was a heavy bag with legs, and Sean O'Malley was using his face as focus mitts the whole fight. Respect to Chito for not going down once, but respect for taking all those shots and not quitting or getting dropped. But still, he did get beat up. So, yeah, it was a great card. I'm going to be dropping a few videos for the upcoming fight night, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys had a good time watching the fights, made some money, and I'll see you guys in the next one.